Okay, so with the transfer into the sketchbook, now I've just got a place that I can figure stuff out. Next thing you're going to want to do is using the thin Sharpie, and if you have a medium Sharpie, you're going to want to think about the elements that you have in here. What's a primary element as a focal point? In this case, the primary element is the television. So I use the medium Sharpie to trace the television. Secondary characters or secondary images and things, I could vary whether I go between the thick Sharpie and the thin Sharpie. So for example, these images down here, if I use the same line weight on this, it's not going to really create that appearance of distance, getting closer, further away. So on the forms that are closer to me, I'm going to use the medium Sharpie. And for secondary things, like these lines here, the inside of the television, okay, some of these forms up here, the radiating arcs coming from the antenna, I'm going to use the thin Sharpie, but other elements, and I'm going to use the Sharpie the same way Keith Haring would use the brush, as a continuous movement to the line. All right, so going through with a medium Sharpie and a thin Sharpie, and of course, using a straight edge. If you're trying to draw a straight line, there's no other way to draw a straight line than to use a straight edge. So where I have that line of horizon line in the back here, I'm using my thin Sharpie, and I'm just using a straight edge, and I'm making sure that those lines are straight. Same thing here on these lines. All right, so I'm using the thin Sharpie to redraw these lines coming from underneath, from the ground on the TV. All right, so that's going to be the next part before we get to the rest of the planning. Now, as the forms are getting closer, I'm changing the line weight a little bit on these characters to give them the appearance that they're a little bit thicker. They're a little bit closer, but it's still not as thick as the medium Sharpie that I did up there. Okay? So again, I'm creating that emphasis in the size based on the principle